Begin the Gemara today on Daf Ayin Aleph at the beginning of the Yomud Rabbi Yehuda Aimer. In the Mishnah, it spoke about a wife that made a neder, that the husband that is made a neder that she can't have any anah from him. The Gemara discussed this before. This is regarding mezainis that he's supposed to feed her. So the Tanakama said that you wait 30 days. 30 days he gives her someone that will provide for her, but after 30 days, if he still is not feeding her, he has to divorce her and give her a kesubos. Rabbi Yehuda says that you give her a month, but then Rabbi Yehuda said if it's a kain, you give her 2 months. So the Gemara asks him this. It said in the Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda b'Yisrael chodesh echad v'chulu. Frek the Gemara, Hainu Tanakama. The first point that Rabbi Yehuda says that regarding the Yisrael, you give a month. The Tanakama said the same thing. The only thing that Rabbi Yehuda comes to add is regarding a kain. So why is he mentioning the first point about a Yisrael? Abai says, you're right. The only chiddush of Rabbi Yehuda is the point regarding a woman that's married to a kain. That there you give her an extra month because if her husband divorces her, he'll never be able to remarry her. Rava says, even regarding a woman married to a Yisrael, there's also a difference between what the Tanakama said and Rabbi Yehuda said. Tanakama said 30 days. What does 30 days mean? 30 days. No difference what the month and the calendar in that year, in that time of the year is. Rabbi Yehuda though said you give her a chodesh. A chodesh could be either 29 days or 30 days. According to Rabbi Yehuda, it depends on the specific month that you're in. It could be night. Yeah, so that's the difference between them. Amar Rav. Now Rav said regarding this halacha here of this neder that the husband made, that you give 30 days for him to not nullify this neder, and or he again not nullify. He made a neder. If the neder was only for 30 days, so then after 30 days there's no neder, so he continues living with her. But if it's more than 30 days, so then he's going to yetziv yitin kesubos. So Amar Rav says about this lo shanu ela b'mefarish. So this idea of 30 days is when the husband that made the neder here specified 30 days. So then we give him these 30 days, and we don't force him to immediately divorce his wife. For those 30 days, he can give someone else to provide for her, and then after 30 days, we'll see if there's still a neder. Aval b'stam, but if a person makes a neder unspecified, doesn't give any time, says makes a neder, my wife can't have any anah, I can't feed her, unspecified. So then yaitzi la'alter, he has to immediately divorce her, v'yitin kesubos, and he gives her the kesubos. If it's not specified, so then there's nothing to wait for. You made a neder indefinitely, so you have to immediately divorce your wife. You can't have somebody provide for her forever. So therefore, the person should right away divorce her. Shmuel says, afilu b'stam, even a person that makes a neder that his wife can't have anah from him and it's unspecified, lo yotzi, you should not divorce her immediately because shema yimtza pesach lenidrai. Because the person can find a pesach, an opening, a way how to nullify the neder, and therefore he'll be able to continue living with her and providing for her. We had this machlokes, we had this Gemara exactly 10 blot ago here in the Gemara. And the Gemara asks in this, but this machlokes between Rav and Shmuel regarding an unspecified neder, whether you'll have to divorce your wife immediately or you can wait. This machlokes came up once before regarding a different mashal or a different example of a neder. The Mishnah there said, person makes a neder that he can't have anah from his wife in marital relations. If you remember, Rashi there explained, the pshat of this is, not that he says that my wife can't have anah from me. A person can't make such a neder. He's obligated to her for this. But a person makes a neder on himself. He says that I will not be able to have anah from my wife in tashma shamita. So that neder he could make. So what happens now? Beishamai says, shtei shabbosis. So if he made a neder for 2 weeks, so then that he could remain. We don't force him to divorce his wife. She'll wait 2 weeks. Beisil says Shabbos achas, just 1 week, one Shabbos. And if the neder is longer than that, then he has to divorce her right away. Rav said on that as well, the same point as he said here. Machlokes b'mefarish. The whole argument, whether we give him time or not, is if he specified a specific amount of time. So then the question is 2 weeks or 1 week. Aval b'stam. A person that makes a neder says stam that I can't have anah from my wife in tashma shamita, so then yoitzi la'alta v'yitin kesubos. He immediately has to divorce his wife and give her the kesubos. Shmuel says, just like he said over here, afilu b'stam nami, even if the person's neder was made unspecified, no amount of time, lo yetzi, you should not immediately divorce her because shema yimtza pesach lenidrai. He may find an opening to nullify his neder, so therefore we also give him a week or 2 weeks. We give him also time for this. So the same exact machlokes that's between Rav and Shmuel here regarding a person making a neder that he's not going to feed his wife is over there in that Gemara regarding Tashmish Hamita. So why is this machlokes being repeated? Answers the Gemara. We had all of this in the Gemara before already. We need both of these arguments. If we would only say the case that we spoke about there regarding the marital relations, over there Rav says if it's unspecified, you divorce your wife right away. Because over there he's talking about marital relations between husband and wife, and there's no concept of appointing a third party to take care of her. So over there Rav says if it's unspecified, we're not going to wait and rely that maybe he could find a Pesach for his neder, he should divorce her right away. But over here regarding feeding her, so it's possible to provide someone else for these 30 days. Over here I would say that he agrees to Shmuel that even if it's unspecified, nevertheless, we do give him time and maybe he'll find a Pesach for his neder. And the same is the reverse. If the argument between Rav and Shmuel would only be said over here regarding the case where the person is saying that I won't be able to feed my wife, so over here Shmuel said that even if it's unspecified, we wait 30 days. Because over here, in those 30 days, someone else will provide for her. But over there, when the neder is regarding Tashmish Hamita, when there's no one else that could provide for her, so over there maybe he agrees to Rav that if it's unspecified, he has to divorce her right away. That's why the machlokes of Rav and Shmuel is taught regarding both of these scenarios. Going back to the Mishnah, so now the Gemara goes to the next part of the Mishnah and asks a question over here on Shmuel's opinion. So Tanan, what did it say in the next case of the Mishnah? A person makes a neder that his wife should not be able to eat from any peiros that there are in the world. So So this is a kind of a affliction that she can't handle, that she's not allowed to eat any peiros. So he immediately has to go and divorce her and give her a ksuba. So now the question over here is, in the first part of the Mishnah it said you wait 30 days. In the second part of the Mishnah it says that he has to right away give her a ksuba. What's the difference? That's the Gemara's question here. So the Gemara says, Bishleim Rav. According to Rav, we could answer the difference is kan bistam and kan b'mefarish. Earlier in the Mishnah, it was speaking about a person that made a neder with a set time. So over there we say if it's a set time, if it's 30 days, we wait, and if it's more than 30 days, so you have to divorce her. But over here, in this part of the Mishnah, when it speaks about shleititum echad mikol hapeiros, it doesn't specify any time. So because there's no time specified, like Rav said, he has to divorce her immediately. Ela l'Shmuel kashya. But according to Shmuel, how are we going to explain the difference between the first and second part of the Mishnah? Shmuel said that even when a person makes a neder stam, unspecified, the halacha of 30 days still applies. We're going to wait that time to give him a Pesach. So how are we going to explain the second part of the Mishnah? So the truth is, the Mefarshim point out, the Maram Shif speaks about this, that the Gemara's question is very difficult to understand. Because the difference between the first and second part of the Mishnah is very easy to see. In the first part of the Mishnah, he's making a neder that she can't have enough from me, and he's not going to be able to feed her. So then you could appoint a third person that will come and feed her instead of himself. Over here, he made a neder on his wife that she should not be able to have enough from peiros ba'olam. So in such a case, there's no one there that could provide for her. So that's why over here, this is a neder that he has to immediately be mitzvah and ksuba. That's one question. There's another question on this Gemara. How in the world could a husband make a neder for his wife? I make a neder that you can't have enough from any peiros in the world. It's your peiros to make such a neder for. You can make a neder that you won't have enough from my peiros, but you won't have enough from Mikola peiros. How does a husband make such a kind of a neder? Okay, the Mefarshim deal with these questions. Regarding the second question, they say that what the husband is connecting this to something else. He's saying, if you're going to eat any peiros, so then you won't be able to have any relations with me. He's relating it to something else that he does have a power over. That's how the neder takes effect. But the Gemara here does ask this as a question, whatever the pshat is. The Gemara says, how according to Shmuel are we going to explain in the second part of the Mishnah that it says that he has to immediately divorce his wife and we do not give him 30 days? So the Gemara answers, Hacha b'maya skinon, in the second part of the Mishnah, what is it speaking about? Kagain, explained this already when we learned the Mishnah. According to Shmuel, it's Kagain Shanadra he. She's the one that made the neder here. Even though in the Mishnah it says Hamadir, but what it means is she made the neder, V'kayim la ihu. And the husband is the one that left it in place. He confirmed the neder. How do you confirm a neder? Either you clearly say, I confirm this neder, or if a day passes and he's quiet, that confirms the neder. So he confirmed the neder. The Kesubos of Meir, so what Rav Meir holds regarding this case is that who noisen etzba ben shinao. It's the husband that placed her fingers between her teeth. If you remember, we had this example before. She's really the one that made the neder. So it looks like she's the one that's hurting herself. But the fact that the husband, it's all up to him whether he's going to confirm it or nullify this neder. So when he confirms the neder, whatever pain she suffers from her own neder, we attribute to him, because it's really all in your hands. So when you confirm the neder, it's like you placed her hands between her teeth, and when she's biting her hands, you're pushing it in. You're the one that's confirming this, and therefore you're the one that's hurting her. Right? So the point that it's saying over here is that in such a case, Rashi explains, the point the Gemara is trying to say is, when she makes a neder, there's really no reason to wait 30 days. When he makes a neder, and now she's suffering as a result of this, so we're going to say that how long could she handle the suffering? We give it 30 days, and then maybe she'll be able to continue living with him after that. But when it comes to a neder that she made herself, she made this neder. In other words, she's not interested in living with him. She made this neder and because she doesn't want to live with him. So what's the point of waiting 30 days? Elamai, you're going to say that if she made the neder, why should he have to divorce her and give her a ksubah? Why should he have to pay the ksubah if she's the one that made the neder? So for that, the Gemara explains that because he confirmed it, we consider the suffering that she has in this matziv, we attribute it to him, because he confirmed the neder. Right? But on the other hand, though, to wait 30 days, there's no reason to wait 30 days when she made the neder. She's expressing, she's showing the fact that she doesn't want to live with this person. So therefore, we should get divorced right away. So the Gemara asks on this, is it true that Rab Meir holds? Why is the Gemara here saying Rab Meir? Just before I go weiter, let me just clarify it. In the Mishnah, it didn't say the name Rab Meir, but because this is a Stam Mishnah, the Gemara is explaining that this is Rab Meir, because usually we have a cloud that Stam Mishnah is Rab Meir. So the Gemara is asking, do we say that Rab Meir holds who Naisen Etzba Ben Shinau, that in such a case, when she made the neder, and he confirmed it, that now he has to divorce her and pay her a ksubah? He has to pay the ksubah because he's the one at fault for the fact that he confirmed it. But so do we blame him for this? Is he at fault? Tanya, we learned in the Braisa, Ha'isha shenadra ben nazir. Person's wife made a neder that she's going to be a nazir. And Vishama Baila, her husband hears about this, and and the husband did not nullify this, which essentially means he confirms this neder. By being quiet, he confirmed this neder for his wife. So on one hand, she causes the pain for herself. She made herself a nazir. But on the other hand, it's the husband that confirmed it. So who do we attribute the pain to that she's suffering here? Rav Meir, Rabbi Yehuda say, now she placed her own fingers between her teeth and she's biting her own fingers. It's her own pain that she caused herself. So therefore, obviously, if the husband would have wanted to nullify this neder, he could have. But if the husband says, he does not nullify the neder, he confirms it. But then the husband turns around and says, true, I confirmed it, but you're the one that made this neder, and I can't live, that is, with a wife that's causing herself pain. She will have to leave him, she'll get a get, and he doesn't have to pay the ksubah, because she made the neder for himself. The fact that the husband confirmed it, it's I didn't cause this pain, you caused it for yourself. That's Rab Meir and Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yosef and Rabbi Elazar say, who nice that's what pain shenel? The fact that he confirmed it, he causes her the pain. So he can nullify this neder. And if the husband says, I can't live with a wife that's a nazir and makes these kind of nedarim, he has to divorce her and he has to pay the ksubah, because he's the one that caused this. So what do we see over here? Rab Meir, together with Rabbi Yehuda, held that we blame the husband. If you confirm the neder, so then you're going to have to divorce her, and you have to divorce her, and Punkt verkehrt. Rab Meir and Rabbi Yehuda say that we blame her. If she's the one that made the neder, so it's her fault, and therefore she goes out without a ksubah. As in our Mishnah, what did it say? According to Shmuel, we taish in our Mishnah, she made the neder, but we blame the husband, and he does have to give her a ksubah. So what is Rab Meir that is hold? You have a contradiction here in the opinion of Rab Meir. So the Gemara answers, we're going to have to say Epoch. We have to switch the opinions here in this Braisa. Rab Meir and Rabbi Yehuda, it's Rab Meir and Rabbi Yehuda that both say that it's the husband that's at fault, like it said in our Mishnah, that he does have to give her a ksubah. And Rabbi Yosef and Rabbi Elazar, it's Rabbi Yosef and Rabbi Elazar that said that she's at fault, she made the neder, and she does not get a ksubah. Frek the Gemara. So if that's so, if you're switching the opinions, let's look at what Rabbi Yosef holds. So you're saying now that here Rabbi Yosi holds that she's at fault when she made the neder. But v'savar Rabbi Yosi he nasna. Do we say, is this Rabbi Yosi's opinion, but that when the husband confirms the neder, it's still her fault because she's the one that made the neder originally? But Vatnan, going back in our Mishnah, it also mentions Rabbi Yosi. What does it say in the Mishnah? Rabbi Yosi Yaimeh. Rabbi Yosi says, Ba'niyas shalei nasan kitzva. If a person's wife makes a neder, that according to Shmuel, this is the pshat in our Mishnah. Again, even though it says in the Mishnah, Hamadir, that the husband's making the neder, but nevertheless, according to Shmuel, the pshat is not that the husband makes the neder, but the pshat is she makes the neder and the husband confirms it. And it's speaking about over there that she made a neder that she's not going to use any cosmetics. So it said in the Mishnah, Rabbi Yosi says, Ba'niyas, if this is a poor woman, shalei nasan kitzva, and he didn't set a time for how long she shouldn't be able to use cosmetics. In other words, he's confirming her neder, and there's no set time, so then he's going to have to divorce her and give her haksubah. That's what Rabbi Yosi said in our Mishnah. Even though she made the neder. Nevertheless, Rabbi Yosi says the husband is to blame and he's going to have to pay her ksubah. So how could you say that Rabbi Yosi holds that she does not get the ksubah because she's at fault? She made her own neder herself. So the Gemara switches around opinions again. So rather, what you're going to have to say, Rab Meir v'Rab Yosi Aimrim, it's both Rab Meir and Rab Yosi says that the husband is to blame. Who noisen? He's the one that's causing her the pain, and therefore he has to give her the ksubah. Rab Yehuda v'Rab Elazar Aimrim, he nosna. Rab Yehuda and Rab Elazar are the ones that said that she's to blame because she originally made the neder here. Frag the Gemara, but how could he say this? V'savar Rab Yehuda, he nosna. Now, if so, let's look at Rab Yehuda's opinion himself. You're telling me, according to Rab Yehuda, that when she makes a neder, and the husband confirms it, so she's to blame. But is that so? V'hatnan, it said in the Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda said, that a wife that's married to a Yisrael, and she made a neder, and she causes pain for herself, and the husband confirmed it, after a day, he has to divorce her and give her a ksubah. Why is he giving her a ksubah? Because he's to blame. So how can you say, according to Rabbi Yehuda, that she's to blame? So we have a contradiction here in Rabbi Yehuda's opinion as well. So again, the Gemara switches the opinions. The Gemara says, Eimet, you're going to have to say, Rab Meir, Rab Yehuda, Rab Yosi, all three of these Tanaim, which are mentioned in our Mishnah here, and so all of them hold that hu noisin, that the husband is the one that's causing her the pain. So if he has to divorce her, he has to give her a ksubah. And for Rabbi Elazar, it's only Rabbi Elazar that says that he nosna. She's placing her fingers between her teeth, she's causing herself the pain, and even if he confirmed the neder, you won't have to give her a ksubah when you divorce her. Now the Gemara says, "Ve'im tim tzelaima zugi kitani." If you're going to want to say, when you're switching around these opinions here, that you had in the Braisa peers of Tanaim, you had two that said one opinion and two that said another opinion. You don't want to have it 3 against 1. If you want to keep it as peers, 2 against 2, so then, Amy, you'll have to say, Rab Meir, Rab Elazar, Imrim, he nasna. Both Rab Meir and Rab Elazar say that when she makes a neder and the husband confirms it, she's to blame only herself. And Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yosi Aimrim, and Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yosi say hu noisin, that it's the husband that's causing her the pain. The question is, we have over here a Mishnah, a Stam Mishnah, and usually a Stam Mishnah is Rabbi Meir, and the Mishnah says that we blame the husband. So how can you say Rabbi Meir holds we blame her? What we'll have to say is v'hastam like Rabbi Meir. This Mishnah is a Stam Mishnah, not like Rabbi Meir. Usually it is, but this is an exception. Not every Stam Mishnah is Rabbi Meir. This Mishnah is not Rabbi Meir.
So what's the holding?
Okay, so the Gemara continues and asks, now going back to what Rabbi Yosi was speaking about. This is the last point of the Mishnah. Rabbi Yosi says, a wife that made a neder that she will not use cosmetics, and the husband confirmed it, so then the husband is to blame. Why? Because he was able to nullify this vow. And he has to give her a ksubah if he's divorcing her. But now the Gemara asks, is cosmetics something which a husband could annul this vow? Regarding a poor woman and the neder that she made and the husband confirmed it was with no time limit and therefore he has to divorce her, and he gives her a ksubah. Alma bal motzi mefer. So I see that this is a case where the husband could nullify this neder. But is this true? The fact that a husband could nullify his wife's nedarim it doesn't include everything. We learned this before. This only refers to things that are inui nefesh, things that she causes affliction for herself. Those are the things that the husband could nullify, but not any other neder. So the question is, V'raminu elu dvarim. The Mishnah says these are the kinds of nedarim sha'abal mefer that a husband could nullify from his wife. Dvarim sheyesh b'hem inui nefesh. Those kind of things where she's causing herself affliction. And the Tanakama here brings the example in erchatz and lo yarchatz. If she makes a neder, And this neder could be made in one or two ways. Either she says the expression that when I wash myself, so this should be also for me. Or she says, lo yerchatz, I make a neder not to wash myself. Im eskashit, im lo eskashit, I will adore myself, I will not adore myself. So again, the cosmetics, kishutim, which is what our Mishnah was speaking about over here. So according to the Tanna Kama, these are things that are inu nefesh, she's causing herself affliction, and the husband could nullify these kind of vows. Rabbi Yosi argues and says, Ein elu nidrei inu nefesh. These are not kind of vows that is considered to be affliction that the husband could nullify. Rather, what is considered to be affliction of the soul that the husband could nullify? Something more basic. If she says, I'm not going to eat meat, I'm not going to drink wine, I'm not going to wear beautiful clothing that a woman wears. Those are things that cause a woman a pain. But adorning herself, cosmetics that Rabbi Yosi mentioned in our Mishnah over here, that's not considered to be a neder, which is inu nefesh. So the question over here is, how could Rabbi Yosi say in our Mishnah, or how could we say according to Shmuel, that the pshat in our Mishnah is that she made the neder and the husband confirmed it, and because he confirmed it, he's causing her the pain, and he has to pay her the ksubra. How could he say such a thing? It's b'chlal not something that the husband could get involved in. According to Rabbi Yosi, this is not inu nefesh. And says the Gemara, what is the Mishnah speaking about over here? We're talking about things that she uses cosmetics for herself in private places. That's between her and her husband. That's in private places, that's negaya for marital relations. That's the kind of cosmetics we're talking about. We're not talking about any cosmetics. And that's the kind of thing that affects the husband, and therefore this is something that he could nullify. Frek the Gemara, not necessarily is this so. There's a machlekes about this. This is true according to the opinion that says things that are private between the husband and the wife in the private areas, that the husband could nullify this. So that's the pshat of our Mishnah. That's what we're speaking about, that she made the neder and the husband could nullify this. But there's an opinion that says that even these matters, a husband cannot nullify the vow. So how are we going to explain our Mishnah when Rabbi Yosi is saying, according to Shmuel's pshat in our Mishnah, that she makes the neder and the husband has the option to nullify this? And the Gemara brings the source of this machlekes. The Itma, we learned the machlekes Hamirayim. Dvarim shebeinoy lebeino. The matters that are between husband and wife, this is in the privacy between the husband and wife, and she makes a neder. Could the husband nullify this or not? Rav Huna says, Habal Mefer. Yes, the husband can nullify this. Rav Ada bar Ava says, Ein Habal Mefer, the husband cannot nullify this, and he gives the following mashal. We don't find a fox that dies in a foxhole with the sand that's there, because the fox that's there in its hole knows how to take care of itself and therefore does not die over here. So over here as well, when it comes to these private matters between husband and wife, and Rashi over here says this is talking about Sam Hamesha Saseya, to remove pubic hairs that might cause the husband pain, this is something that is not an issue for him. And therefore, he can't be made for the neder because this is something which won't harm him at all. So according to that opinion, that it will not harm him, so you can't say that that's the pshat in the Mishnah, because over here the husband has no right to nullify such a vow. Answers the Gemara, we're going to have to say, Elo hocha b'maya skina. The pshat in our Mishnah, when Rabbi Yosi speaks about a wife that made a neder not to use cosmetics, it's not stam a wife, a neder about cosmetics. Kogain, the case here is, v'talinu likishute b'tashma shamita. She's making a vow about not using cosmetics, but she's connecting that vow to the marital relations. What does this mean? The Amra, what she said is, Ye'aser hanoas tashmishe chalai, that I will not be allowed to have any relations with you, with my husband, im eskashet, if I'm going to use cosmetics, if I'm going to adorn myself. So true, when it comes to matters of a woman adorning herself, according to Rabbi Yosi, that's not something that the husband could nullify. That's not called inu nefesh. But when it comes to the tashma shamit, the marital relations, that definitely is something that the husband could nullify. So in our Mishnah, when it spoke about the kishutin, it doesn't just mean kishutin. It means that she connected this. She said that the whole marital relations is dependent on this. And the Gemara clarifies how could she make such a kind of a neder? I mean, the marital relations is something that she has control to stop this, to make a neder about this. The Gemara says, the Omer Rav Kahane, and Rav Kahane explains, the Omer Rav Kahane, Hanas tashmishi alecha, if a woman comes and makes a neder and says to her husband, I make a neder that you are not allowed to have any hana from me in marital relations. That doesn't take effect. Kaifel misham shasai. He can tell her your neder doesn't mean anything. This is an obligation you have to me, and therefore he doesn't have to nullify this vow. But if she says Hanas Tashmishech Olai, she says about herself that I make a neder on myself that I'm not going to have any hana of marital relations with you. So then that takes effect. That kind of a neder that she's making on herself, since it does take effect, yofer. You would have to nullify this vow. You're not allowed to give a person to eat something that he makes a neder that's not allowed for him. So therefore, if he wants to have marital relations with his wife, he'll have to nullify this vow. So what's our Mishnah speaking about? So the pshat the Gemara is saying is, even though in our Mishnah, in the simple pshat, Rabbi Yossi was talking just about kishutin, cosmetics, which is something the husband cannot nullify, but the Gemara is explaining, she connected the cosmetics to the marriage relation. So if he's not going to nullify this vow, it will affect him, in nefesh, that he won't be able to have the relations with his wife. Frek the Gemara, but still, why could he nullify this vow? V'leitis kashet, v'leite aser. So if so, let her not use any cosmetics, and then he'll be able to have marital relations with her. When it comes to not using cosmetics, we said that's not inu nefesh. That's not an issue. That's not something that the husband could nullify. Elamai, the point is that if she's going to use jewelry, then she won't, or whatever other cosmetics, he won't be able to have relations with her. So then let her not use any of these cosmetics, and then there will be no issue. He'll be able to have relations with her. Why? Still, the question remains: why could the husband get involved in this and nullify this neder? And since the Gemara, Imkein Karola Menuveles, people will refer to her as a Menuveles, as the person that they see that because of this she can't have any married relations, and therefore she's called a Menuveles, and therefore we can't demand of her not to use these kishutin, and therefore the husband could nullify this. But now the Gemara asks, on the other hand, you're telling me that this is a neder that the husband could nullify because this will stop the marital relations with her. That's the whole point here. But if so, v'tiskashet v'teyaser, let her adorn herself, let her use cosmetics, and let her become aser, meaning there's another way to measure the time of when he has to divorce her. What did Rabbi Yossi say in the Mishnah? Rabbi Yossi said in the Mishnah that in such a case, so what do we give her? He immediately has to divorce her right away. We don't give him any time. But over here, what are we saying? The whole issue is the fact that she connected this to Tashmish Amita, to marital relations. So if so, we have another shear for this. According to Beis Shammai, if the issue that he has with his wife's neder is that he's holding her back from marital relations, either you wait 2 weeks. According to Beis Hillel, you wait 1 week. Why does Rabbi Yossi say that he could immediately divorce her? The issue is the Tashmish Amita. For that we have another shear. And says the Gemara, no, it's different than the case of usually when she makes a neder not to have, or when the husband is made a neder not to have relations with his wife. If the case is that the husband is the one that made the neder, that he's not going to have relations with his wife, so over there, the reason why Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel say that you give him 2 weeks or you give him a week is because the wife thinks to herself, she's not going to demand a get right away because she thinks there's something that got my husband very angry at me, and therefore he went ahead and made this neder that I'm not going to have any relations with you. So we give him a week or 2 to calm down and to see if he's going to change his behavior with his wife. That's when he makes the neder. So therefore she thinks that this is just maybe a temporary thing. He got angry, he made this neder. And then afterwards he's going to calm down. But over here, what is this Mishnah speaking about? According to the pshat that we're saying here, she made the neder. The husband hears he never got angry. She got angry, and she made this neder, and the husband is quiet, or he confirms it, and so she thinks to herself, if the husband hears me making a neder like this, and he's quiet, definitely he hates me, she's not interested in living with him, right away. Over here, we don't give him 2 weeks or 1 week, and right away he has to divorce her. This is a very interesting thing. In a case where she makes the neder, and he confirms it, this actually, in a way, shows even more, this is more of a raya, that if the husband is quiet, if his wife that's obligated to be with him makes such a kind of ridiculous neder and the husband's quiet, that even shows more how much he hates her, and it's not just in the spur of the moment that he got excited and angry about something. So over here he has to immediately divorce her. Said in the Mishnah, Rabbi Yossi Oime b'aniyas shel inosan kitzva, that if it's a poor woman and she makes a neder and he confirms it according to the Shmuel, that's the pshat, that she can't use any adornments, any kishutin. So then, if he didn't give a set time, so then he has to divorce her right away. The kama kitzva. What does it mean a set time? How long is this set time? If 10 years, 100 years, So the Gemara says, Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, Yud Beis Chaydish. It's 12 months. If it's more than 12 months, so that's already something that's out of a kitzvah. That's considered to be indefinite, endless. More than 12 months, it's a very long time. Rabbi Baba Chana Amar Rabbi Yechanan Es Shana, much longer than that, 10 years. Rav Chizda Amar Avimi Regel. If he gave a time that's longer than the next Yom Tov coming up, that's already considered to be like indefinite. Why? Shekaim b'nais Yisrael miskashtis b'regel. The Jewish women, they adorn themselves and beautify themselves to cover the Yom Tov. So if it's past the Yom Tov, that's already out of the bounds, and he's going to have to immediately divorce her. Ubashiris lamed yoim, by the rich women, you give them 30 days. What's the shir of 30 days here? Maishno lamed yoim. Omer Abai explains, Shekain isha chashuva nehanes merech kishutel lamed yoim. The cosmetics that she uses, the perfumes that she uses, so it remains with her for 30 days, and therefore, for 30 days she can handle not using more perfume, and then after that, I'll have to divorce her. A person that makes a neder for his wife, and he says to her, the neder is that I make a neder that I don't allow you to go to your father's house.
You can do that.
Yes. So bizman shehu ima. So if his wife's parents are living with her be'ir in the same city, so since they're living close by to her and she's more accustomed to going to them, so chodesh echad yikayim. If this neder is for 1 month, so then he still keeps her as a wife. He doesn't have to divorce her. But shnayim, if it's already going into another month, yaitziv yitin ksuba, has to immediately divorce her and give her a ksuba. If the parents are living in another city, so she doesn't go to them so often, so then this kind of neder that she shouldn't be allowed to go to her parents. Regal echad, if it's for 1 yontif yikayim, she can forgive not going to her parents for 1 yontif. Shloisha. But if it's 3 Yomim Tovim that he doesn't allow her to go to, so then Yaitziv Yitin Ksuba, he will have to divorce her. The Gemara is going to ask the obvious question, what's with 2 Yomim Tovim? It doesn't say in the Mishnah. Hamad a person makes a neder on his wife, she should not go to Beis Avel to be menachem over someone, or to Beis Hamishte, or to Achasana, Yaitziv Yitin Ksuba, so he has to divorce his wife and give her the Ksuba. Why? Mipnei Shenayel B'fanah. He's locking the door from her. He's locking her into the house. He doesn't allow her to go to Achasana, to Beis Avel. If the husband is giving an explanation, he's explaining that's the reason why I made this neder, mishum davar acher, because there's a certain matter that caused me to make this neder. The Gemara will explain what the matter is. Then he's allowed to make such a neder, and he doesn't have to divorce her. If a person tells his wife, that you must make a neder, that you shouldn't have enough from something unless you go and tell somebody. You should go and tell somebody, Masha Martali. What you told me privately, you should go tell someone else. What I told you privately, go and tell someone else. The Gemara will explain more details to this, what exactly this means. He makes an ed on his wife, that she should fill and empty out the garbage, do things that are going to embarrass her. So then, these are kinds of things that he's going to have to divorce his wife and pay her the ksuba. Again, the Gemara will explain more specifically what this is referring to. The Gemara, the Mishnah seems to contradict itself. Amrit, first you say, when his wife's parents live out of town, so 1 yontif, she can handle not going to them. But if it's 2 yomim tovim, he has to divorce her and give her a ksuba. Then afterwards the Mishnah says, after 3 yomim tovim that he's not allowing her to go to her parents, then he has to divorce her. But 2 yomim tovim, she can still handle that. So what's the story with 2? That the Mishnah didn't explain. So Abaye says the pshat is seife asam lekohenes. What the Reish is talking about and what the seife is talking about is not the same case. For Rabbi Yehudi, this goes according to Rabbi Yehuda. We already saw before. Rabbi Yehuda says because of kehenes, if the husband divorces her, it's kehenes means a woman that's married to a kohen. Because he can't remarry her, we give her extra time to the husband shouldn't divorce her. So for the Yisrael, 2 yomim tovim she can still handle. But for a kehenes, we give her a longer period of time, 3 yomim tovim. Rabbi Bar Ula says, like Kashya, there's no contradiction in our Mishnah, and there's another answer. It depends. It depends on the nature on this and on his wife. Redufa means a woman that we see that she's constantly going to her parents. She goes more often to her parents. So therefore she can't handle this as much. And therefore even 2 Yomim Tovim is too much for her and you'll have to divorce her. To miss 2 Yomim Tovim, she can't handle it. Kan b'she'ena redufa. But over here we're speaking about a wife that is not going constantly to her parents and therefore she can wait 3 Yomim Tovim. Interesting, the Gemara finishes off in connection to this. the connection of husband and wife is also a mashal for the connection between the Yidden and the Eibishter. So the pasuk says, then I'll be in his eyes like someone that's whole and peaceful or wholesome. Rabbi Yochanan says, what's the analogy of Yidden that are wholesome with the Eibishter? It's like a kala that already is fully married and is living with her husband by her in-laws. And she's constantly running back to her father's house. Why is she running back to her father's house? Because she wants to go and praise her chassan, her husband, and her husband's family. So she's constantly going back to her father's house to report about this. So Adarabah, Redufa doesn't show in a bad marriage, it shows in a good marriage. She's so comfortable and happy with her husband that she's constantly going back to her parents to tell her how happy she is with her marriage.
What's he being making an neder?
Why is he making this kind of neder? Adarabah, she's reporting good things about him. So this is an analogy for the wholesomeness of the Yidden with the Eibishter, that the Yidden are so one with the Eibishter that they only mishabeach the Eibishter. Another pasuk, V'haya bayem uhu nu'um Hashem tikri yishi v'loi tikri li'oid baili. The pasuk says that when Mashiach comes, so then we refer to the Eibishter as Ishi, as our husband. And the Rashi says the term Ishi is used after full marriage, Nisuin, the second stage of marriage, when husband and wife live together. And we will not refer to the Eibishter as Baili. Baili is literally translated as a master, which means before she's fully married, after Edison, and she's still living in her house, her husband's living in his house, but he's a master over her. So when Mashiach comes, so then will be the Nisuin, Yidden will be fully married to the Eibishter, like a wife that's living with her husband in his house or by her in-laws, and not like the Kala that's still separated from the husband living in her own house. This is brought in Chassidus in many, many places. When you get to the Gili of Yemei Mashiach, that then it will be the ultimate Nisuin, the ultimate relationship between the Yidden and the Eibishter.